here at some point. Well, welcome everyone to today's Tuesday, May 18th meeting of the Board of County Commissioners, our administrative meeting that we have on a weekly basis. So before we begin, is there any public comment on items not on today's agenda? Okay, seeing none, let's dive right in. Erica Grindy, Superintendent of Public Schools, use of 528.6 square feet.
Yes, so commissioners, as you may know, the superintendent, I think you do, the superintendent of schools lease at their current space is ending later this month due to the building they're in being sold. And so Superintendent of Schools Aaron Lipkin reached out to me to see if there was space in the 438 West Spruce building, which is owned by the Employee Benefits Plan. And there is, so they will be moving into the first floor of that building. There's 2 private offices that they'll be taking on that first floor, as well as the entry area on that first floor. And then they'll also be using an office on the second floor. So the lease, that very precise square footage, accounts for those office spaces, and then it also is a prorated portion of the shared spaces. So a shared copy room, restrooms, there is a small kitchen in that building. And so one thing to note, and I apologize, in my description, I failed to account for the 2 parking spots that they'll also be using in the parking lot. So that's an additional $1,200 annually for those parking spots. So the total will increase by $2,400 for that 2-year lease. And we did the 2-year lease. You'll see another one of these lease agreements down the road with the county attorney's office. The county attorney's office is looking at hopefully only being in that building for 2 years. And so we wanted to give the superintendent of schools the option to reconsider space allocations at that point in time when there's potential that they could look at other offices in the building.
Erica, so the RCA actually does mention the 2 parking spots, and the total is a little over $16,000 for 2 years. Is that the correct dollar? It is not.
So it is not. So that should increase by the $2,400.
Okay.
Yeah, so within the lease itself, in term 5A, the rent is that $8,140.44, and then parking is in section 7 of the lease, and it has the $1,200 annual payment. So I just failed to include that in the dollar amount.
Okay, duly noted.
So Annie will, or someone will fix it.
Yeah, can we fix the RCA to reflect that, Annie?
Yes, I can make a note on the motion to specify that the parking spots were not included for the RCA.
Okay, so yeah, the parking slots, are included. They just hadn't been, the amount hadn't been included.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that, and Annie, I can send you an email. The annual amount will increase by $1,200, with the total amount increasing by the $2,400.
Okay. So so the motion is to approve the lease, and I think the rest of it will get taken care of on the back end.
Okay, so I'm sorry. I'm jumping in late. I was on this interlocal conversation. I wasn't, having mimosas across the street. But anyway, just a question. If the county owns this building, why are we, in a sense, leasing it to ourselves? Or please fill me in. Sorry about that.
Sure. So the county doesn't own the building. The plan is owned by the Employee Benefits Plan.
Well, the building is by the plan.
Correct. It's an asset of the plan. And so plan assets have to be used for the benefit of plan members, meaning to pay medical claims or for the operation of the plan. And so in order to uphold my and your fiduciary duties to the Employee Benefits Plan, we have to ensure that any use coincides with the benefit of plan members. So we have to lease it in order, we just can't let
Got it.
non-benefit purposes use the building. So for example, right now we also have Kim Adamo from my staff over there. The lease for that is coming out of work comp. Similarly, the wellness the wellness fund is paying for Whitney Meek's space over there.
Okay.
Yeah, so the only staff that could use it free of charge per se would be benefits staff.
Got it. I remember now that it was owned by the plan, but it took me a little bit. Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay.
I motioned to approve the chair sign the 2-year lease agreement.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Erica.
Thank you all.
And good morning, Chris. You look very lonely in the room with a large container of Clorox wipes there on the table. So
It is lonely in here, but I'm hoping you'll come over at 11.
Okay.
yes, we might be able to oblige that.
Oh, I'm going to go sit with you, Chris, because that would be way more fun.
I am not. I'm going to man the helm here. So, Cheryl, talk to us about the Western Region Juvenile Detention Grant application.
Good morning, commissioners. How is everyone?
Very good.
Good.
More or less.
So just bringing the application for the Board of Crime Control's Western Region Grant. This is a grant that Missoula County administers for a number of other counties, to include Flathead, Lake, Sanders, Lincoln, Mineral, Missoula, ourselves, and Ravalli. It is monies that are based on expected population in our juvenile facilities and goes to support both secure detention and non-secure detention costs for all of these agencies. The amount expected to be received by Missoula County this year is $57,437.95. And then additionally, Missoula County receives an administrative fee for administering the grant for the other jurisdictions in the amount of $1,172.20.
Okay.
This is one of my favorite things to bring the commission because I'm actually not asking for money. I'm asking you to let us get money.
I was looking up the language.
What was that, Josh?
I'm just looking for some language. Hold on.
What language are you looking for?
Sign the grant application.
Oh, there we go. Thank you so much. Yeah, I would move that we approve the board approved chair to sign the Western Region Juvenile Detention Grant application.
Second.
So and just a note, Commission, I do think that the signature page is inaccurately reflecting Josh as the chair, so we may need to update that. I can get that sent over to Annie so we have an appropriate signature page, unless Josh wants to sign.
No, I would defer to our chair.
Right. Sounds good. So I'll get an updated signature page over for so we have an accurate signature reflection.
Commissioner Slotnick is hanging me out to dry yet again. Any question? Did you second this, Juanita?
I did, but I think I interrupted Cheryl, so I'll second again. Yes.
Okay. Any other questions or further discussion? Cheryl, what's the odds that we're going to get this amount?
Pretty good. We've been successful in years past. I'm not really sure how the projection numbers worked. Obviously, COVID-19 had some impacts on our population numbers, but I think that we'll be successful in that amount, and it's pretty comparable to the amounts we've seen in years past. A little bit less than last year, but not much.
Great. Thanks. Okay, let's go ahead and vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, thanks, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Okay, Bryce, looks like we have an item here related to public awareness of noxious weeds in Missoula County.
Yeah, good morning. So this is a modification to the participating agreement that we have with the Lolo and Flathead National Forest, and this is to help us set up two things. One is a quick capture project, which is in the ARC GIS suite that would allow people to quickly take a picture and take a point of new invader species when they're hiking around popular trailheads around here. And we would kind of tailor it to the high priority species that we want them to be identifying and reporting to us. And then the other component is we're investigating creating an online learning program that would be set up in different modules that people could take on their own pace and kind of get a local weed ID land management certification that the Forest Service is interested in helping us pursue to increase people's ability to effectively manage their weeds on properties that border the forests. So they're giving us $5,000.
Okay, well, I'd be inclined to take it. What do you think, Josh, Juanita?
Yes.
Absolutely. Oh, sorry, Josh, were you going to say something?
No, you're up.
I motion that the board approve modification to participating agreement with Lolo and the Flathead National Forest.
I will second that.
Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Thanks so much, Bryce. This is awesome.
Thank you. Talk to you guys later.
You bet. All right, Sylvia, you have the next 3 items. So
yes.
why don't you just roll through them all and we can vote on them as a group, provided not any of them are so controversial as to warrant a separate vote.
I hope not. Good morning, commissioners. First, I want to quickly introduce you to Leidy Wagner. She is MEP's new office manager. She started actually yesterday. Today is her 2nd day of work. I am leaving Missoula Economic Partnership at the end of June to pursue my master's degree in library and information science. So I will actually be moving to Boston this summer. So this may be the first and last time that I am presenting to you on behalf of MEP. A little bit nervous, but very excited. So I just wanted to quickly introduce you to Leidy. She'll be joining Nicole and working on grants admin starting yesterday at her first onboarding meeting. So with that, I will move, I'm going to just quickly do this, and I will move into our first item, which is the 2021 signature certification for the state, for the Department of Commerce. Essentially, this document is just letting this Department of Commerce know who is authorized to sign for Missoula County. This was something that we didn't do in 2020 because of the pandemic. We were allowed kind of an extension on the one prior. I will get more clarification on whether we need to retroactively sign a 2020 signature certification, but for now they are asking for the 2021 certification. So that is the first item. And then the second item is on the closeout for ATG's current grant, which ended on May 9th, 2021. That grant ended with all the jobs requested drawn upon, so that's 68 new jobs. That last deposit came in this past week, so that will be going out to ATG hopefully in the next couple of weeks. I just sent that over to Dave. And we are starting a new grant for them as of also May 9th, 2021 into the next year. And then the last item is a request for payment for Silixa. They have created one new job. So that is a request for payment for Silixa for $5,000, $4,600 of which will go to Silixa, the assisted business, and $400 to MEP for administrative fees.
Wait, Sylvia, I can't remember what Silixa is. Can you remind me?
That is a great question, and I am so sorry. Nicole has more information on all of these folks.
Is that,
but I can
Juan,
get
is that the fiber? Is that the fiber optic?
I think so. Yes.
The cable company.
Yes.
Where they would lay cables in water and they could do all these crazy types of environmental monitoring.
I believe that you are correct. I can double check, right? Yes, they're the fiber optic product supplier.
Because I remember that guy, because he said like my favorite line, one of my favorite lines of the year when we asked him, why did you come to Missoula? And he said, because it gives us a competitive hiring advantage. And I love that as a place that loves where I live. I love hearing that.
good memory, Josh.
It also reinforces, you remember the things that reinforce your own beliefs. So, and this reinforces my belief that our culture and our land are indeed our economic engine, not one industry, and that doing things that make our place better actually move our economy forward, as evidenced by Mr. Slick's choice to be. I know that's not his real name, but by his choice to be here. I'm not making the Donald Trump Tim Apple mistake. I don't know if you remember that one. Remember that one? He called Tim Cook.
That's an oldie but a goodie. Annie, what do you have for us?
Oh, Annie has her hand up.
Yeah, what did we screw up already?
You didn't screw up anything. I just wanted to confirm with Sylvia, is it okay for the commissioners to sign the signature certificate electronically by our ready sign?
Yep, I believe that should be fine. Yes.
Okay, perfect. That just clarifying. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Annie.
All right, then I would move we approve items 4, 5, and 6.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, commissioners. Have a good day.
Thanks, Sylvia. Good luck in Boston.
Sylvia. Yeah,
Thank
good
you.
luck.
Yeah, congratulations, Sylvia.
Thank you. I'm very excited. But I will miss Missoula very much. I love it here, so don't get me wrong.
All right.
You can come back and work in the library.
Yeah, that's true. I totally could. See y'all later.
Welcome aboard, lady. Okay, take care. Chris, do you have anything you want to add about this standard employment agreement?
No, it is just a standard employment agreement for partnership. This is obviously at their Sealy Lake Clinic, as it says, but otherwise, it is a standard employment agreement.
Is that, and Georgianne doesn't have an E, that's the correct spelling?
I believe so.
Great. I motion to approve the standard employment agreement. I'm so glad she's up there.
I'll second that. Great thing to have this clinic.
It is. Any further discussion on the standard employment agreement? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and our last action item today, Kyla, it's board appointment to the Zoning Board of Adjustment.
Yes, we had one vacant term to the board. We had one new applicant sworn already. And the motion is just a request to appoint sworn already as the third alternate to the Zoning Board of Adjustment, filling the remainder of the vacant term through December 31st, 2021. And I believe Matt is on the line if you have any questions as well.
No, I don't have any questions. Anyone else have questions?
No.
No.
Glad Swana wants to do this work.
No, the applicant seemed quite qualified. And it's not every day you have folks want to step up for this particular board, but it's important work they do, even if it's somewhat periodic. So.
Yeah, we'll be lucky to have her. Sorry, is this Josh? Is this you?
I would move that we appoint Swan already as third alternate to the Zoning Board of Adjustment.
Second.
Any further discussion on the appointment? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, thanks, Kyla. Any correspondence we need to deal with today? There's a lot of correspondence out there, we all know, but none that we need to deal with right now. So let's see, let's move into discussion items. The first one's, I think, a meaty one that you would not gather from the title necessarily. John Hart was out for the last discussion we had on this item. So I believe this is Dory and John Hart here.
Yeah, good morning, Commissioners. This is John Hart from the County Attorney's Office. And the good news for me is that I was out on a wonderful vacation while you got the news about these properties. And just for the record, you know, the county advertised for sale 3 pieces of property that we have owned for some time. One parcel address 218 Westview, and that We had an appraisal done in 2020, market value of $80,000 on that piece of property. We received 2 offers, and they were both for $5,000. The second parcel address is 337 Northview. Also had a 2020 market value appraisal. That one is for $85,000. And the county received exactly 1 offer on that property for $6,000. And finally, there's a piece of property out in Clinton, 22401 Hill Road. 2020 market value appraised value of $65,000. And there was an offer by a neighbor of that property for $12,501. The $1, he must watch Jeopardy a lot or something like that. He threw the $1 in. And so we're in a position where the property that we noted and put up for sale in the Missoulian and took bids on, none of those properties received a bid that were at or above the appraised value. And Montana law prohibits Missoula County from making a private sale of property for less than the appraised value. That's Montana Code Annotated 7-8-2513. So we cannot accept any of the bids on those 3 parcels. I believe the 218 Westview parcel is adjacent to city-owned property, or at least property that the city has a conservation easement on. I've been by that property. I've seen pictures of it. It's very steep, and it's not clear to anybody who doesn't have any expertise, including me, whether or not you could actually build a residence or some other structure on that property. Probably if it was in the Malibu hills of California, someone would figure out a way to build on that lot. But for all intents and purposes, it may not be buildable. An option that Missoula County has under another provision of the code, this is 7-8-10, is the county is authorized to deed to the city of Missoula property that then the city will use as parkland or recreational grounds. And there's some other things, like they could use it for a cemetery. Obviously, they're not going to use it for a cemetery, but it would be open space. And if the city was interested in having Missoula County donate the parcel at 218 Westview, that is an option that could be considered. Now, that deed would come with the restriction that the city use the property as parkland or open space. And if they don't use that property for a period of 5 or more years for those purposes, the property would revert back to Missoula County. So it's, it would be, essentially the city would always have to, if they wanted to continue to own it, they would have to manage it as parkland or open space recreational grounds. That's one option.
John,
yes.
Could I ask you a quick question? So let's say we work out a deal with the city and they say we would love to take this super steep property and just add it to ours. What would the proof be that they were indeed using it for open space, if that basically meant they don't do anything?
Well, I don't think there'd be a formal monitoring or verification process. I mean, essentially it would be left up to the institutional knowledge of either the city or the county,
okay.
And more importantly, the citizens of Missoula County to just, be aware of that. I mean, all right. We could bake into the transaction some sort of verification, like every 5 years they send us a letter saying we're still using this for proper purposes.
Sure.
But there again, there would have to be some sort of docketing and tickling system in place so that would come through.
Okay, thanks. I'm not advocating anything specific. I was just wondering if, I was nervous that somebody would say, wait a minute, you guys gave it to the city and they didn't do anything with it. And well, we gave it to the city to use as open space, which basically means they're not doing anything with it, other than making it available for people to walk on.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, that would be satisfying the
Okay,
purposes
great.
of the
Well, that seems, on this super steep piece of property, that really seems like the best thing to do.
Yeah, having visited the site myself, yeah, I think John's description of it's certainly from the standpoint of a casual observer, its appropriateness for or ability to be developed for residential purposes is somewhat limited, and it seems like it would make a great deal of sense to at least make some outreach to the city to see if they'd be interested in taking it.
Yeah, hopefully they will.
Yeah.
So that's Westview.
That's Westview. And the other two parcels, Dory and I have talked about this, and you could the county could consider retaining the services of a real estate professional who would maybe be able to market these properties in a way that they could be, they could realize the full appraisal value. That could be done now. That can obviously be done in the future too. We could, the county could just decide that we want to continue to hold these other two parcels, or all three if the city doesn't want to take on the Westview parcel, hold them for a period of time, and then revisit this, get some appraisals in a year or 2 or 3 years, see how the appraisals, the market conditions and what the appraised value is, and then at that time retain the services of a real estate professional to then market these properties. Those are, and there's probably some other options out there too, but those are the things that Dory and I have talked about. But again, the bottom line is we cannot accept the bids on any of the three properties pursuant to Montana law.
John, as far as Northview goes, I have not visited that site. From our last conversation, I think Dory mentioned that it's on some, there might be some steep terrain there also, maybe not as severe as Westview. What's your thought or Dory's thoughts on that? And does that property adjoin city open space or parkland also?
I have no idea. I haven't seen that property. I haven't looked at it on the property information system. Dory, why don't you take that question?
Yeah, so it does. It's not the property on Westview, that open space. And I don't personally believe this would benefit that open space very much on Westview, having lived in the neighborhood and walked
What's
it.
the address again? Sorry.
Which one, Juan?
Westview.
218.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry, I should have had these pulled up. But the Northview likewise abuts some city open space, but it's not used as frequently as the Westview space is. Probably the biggest challenge with that one is the access. It's kind of a narrow lot that goes way up the hill, so it's a decent sized lot, but how you would get in with a driveway. Now, the person that put a bid on both of them has spent quite a bit of time talking with the city about both lots and what could be done. And so he's been working on what kind of access you could have to the Northview lot to get into your garage under city rules, and whether you could build a shelf on the Westview lot for designing a house, which I think some of the neighbors did in years past. Whether that fits current zoning codes, et cetera, is a question that the city didn't want to answer until they had a plan, detailed plan before them. But they're both challenging lots, there's no doubt.
Yeah, it would be one heck of a shelf there at Westview that would need to be built, I think. Chris, do you have the property information system at your fingertips there?
He's
I do.
rolling
What
with
are
it
the
right now.
What are the house numbers on Northview?
Is it 218?
That was West.
Northview is 337 Northview.
Oh, all right.
Okay. Yeah, it's hard to see the topography here very well.
Right. So this is the city's open space. It abuts, it's behind every home.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is there any, and again, not knowing the site, this might not be possible. Is there any value to public access through there to access the open space? Otherwise, it looks like you have to go through people's backyards to, or maybe it's not the sort of open space that is accessed by anyone.
It's accessed right here, Dave.
And is it all just a steep hillside? I can't tell if I've never been there.
Yeah.
Is it flat or is it just a hill right there?
No, it's a fairly
hill,
steep
but there-
hillside.
It's really steep.
But as I say, but of course, these are all buildable right here. So I don't know whether this one is, but it's likely given.
And that issue is the access to 337, right? Like, where would the driveway go?
Because of this corner, I'm guessing.
Right. You have
Yeah, 'cause
and the width is what Brad Rowe told me, and the width, and probably with the corner there. Most of the other, if you can kind of see their driveways, come in at real diagonal, and actually have some of them have easements.
Well, it appears as though there's a bit of an encroachment.
Yeah, more than a bit, right?
And part of their house appears to be built on.
So could we give this to the city as well, because it's part of their open space?
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense for anything else, really.
Seems to be that way.
I mean, our only options here are either engage the city with a transfer of this parcel to them, or we take another run at trying to more widely advertise this lot to get the appraised value.
Just put someone in a difficult position to engineer and build, and is that a good idea?
Yeah, it begs that question.
I mean, I would suggest, if you plan to market them, which, it's nice to have building lots in Missoula too, but I would probably wait and get some revised appraisals. I don't know how beneficial. I mean, I had realtors that called me about it, and one I thought that was going to bid on it and didn't, and I didn't respond as I tried to find out why, but.
Yeah, I agree. There's probably no sense in just trying the same thing and expecting different results by way of someone matching the existing appraisal.
Did we buy this at some point? How did we end up with this tax deed?
Tax deeds, decades ago.
Okay. So I guess we can hold on to it. We're not out any money, but it does seem, looking at how steep it is and how difficult a driveway would be, and the nature that it's on a corner, and that it abuts city open space, that the path of least resistance here is just to give it to the city if they would indeed take it.
How about this for an option, that we engage the city on both Westview and Northview, indicate that we're definitely interested in the transfer of Westview, but at least get some indication if they're even interested in the Northview property. If they're not, then we roll into a different approach. John, did you have something you wanted to add there?
Oh, I'm just musing with the idea that if the city actually wanted to have these two parcels granted to them, that in the deed to them, we could just stick in all the park parcels from the D part too, and maybe nobody would notice.
That's what the legislature would do.
Got a double thumbs up from Dory.
Yeah. stuffing the bill, so to speak.
But no, Commissioner Strohmeyer, that sounds like an appropriate plan for the West View and North View, and then maybe just let the Hill Road property slide for a year or two.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Is that Hill Road property, the way it is now, is that making anyone's life difficult? I don't mean the folks on this call. I mean like neighbors. Is it in any way bothering anyone?
No, I think it was a neighbor that bid on it, and I think
There's no access to it, right? There's no road to it.
well, it would take some building. So I believe the neighbor put the offer on to protect it. So I have a
No one's
email.
dumping on it or anything like that, correct?
Right,
How much did the neighbor offer?
12,500.
And it appraised at 65.
You think the appraisal?
In all these cases, there's such a huge gap between the appraised value and the offers. Do we have any doubt that the appraisal is accurate, or are we just dealing with lowballing neighbors?
So I talked to, it's always a little awkward whether how much we insert ourselves in appraisals as supposed to be an impartial. So I haven't talked to the appraiser, but Dave Paoli, unsurprising, talked to the appraiser, and he said his appraisal is based on what he sees in the area, and that other houses are built in similar topography.
Without roads?
Well, that you could build them, and he took some of the access, he said, into account. You could build the road.
Mm-hmm.
And the steepness he felt was not that different than some of the neighbors. But he didn't take into account, it sounds to me, the details of city codes on steepness. So that's
a pretty big.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
I mean, just because it can be done doesn't mean that it would be allowed to be done.
Correct. So what I don't know.
If it's not allowed, then there's no development value. The land has no value.
Correct. So whether a new appraisal, I think I'd start out by asking, or whoever requests it, to clarify that it needs to take into account city codes.
Well, I think for the time being, let's engage the city to see if they'd be interested in either Westview or Northview. And out there in Clinton, so the access that has not been built out on the Clinton parcel, there is actually an easement though that would allow that to happen if someone was willing to cough up the money to do that.
It would be either moving the road, as I understand it, because the road that was put in isn't quite where it's supposed to be, so it doesn't go to this lot, or getting an easement from the neighbor who happens to be the one that bid on it.
Well, so again, I guess and maybe we just let this lie for a little while, but I wonder if the appraisal was fully taken into account some of those factors. But yeah.
I mean, I think he mentioned the access, but in how much detail it took into account, I can't say.
Okay, so what are your druthers with the Clinton property? Just let it cool off for a while, or do we want to ask for another appraisal? Or
I mean, is another appraisal, is it like $7,000? I mean, what's an appraisal?
No.
Yeah, that eats into all of our profits.
Right.
It's I forget what these were, but one we've just asked for is about on a different property, $3,000 for an appraisal. I would probably let this sit. I'll communicate with the owner and find out, if he has a project, if he wants it to go forward, then does he want to put in a different offer? So far, no, since he's the only person putting in an offer. He didn't want to outbid himself, but I'll have that communicated.
There's such a big gap between his offer and the appraised value.
It's a large lot, though. It's a very constructible lot.
Oh, it is.
It is a very constructible lot.
Yeah.
The problem is the road was built in the wrong location. So really all you're talking about is getting access out to the road.
Right.
That was built instead of which was built in the wrong location. So for that one.
Yeah, I guess on the flip side, the advantage of thinking about a new appraisal would be. I'm not sure if the real estate market is going to get any hotter than it is right now. So would just cooling this off for a while really get us anything? I don't know.
What are you thinking, Dory?
I don't know.
Supposed to be built, and this is where it was built.
It's a nice, as Chris mentioned, it's actually a nice buildable lot that you would think someone would be interested in. I had lots of calls on it. So could also reach out to the appraiser, and they're not likely to.
I think reach out to the appraiser and find out just these questions, like where was this taken into it? I mean, what was taken into account? I mean,
yeah. So there's the lot, and you can see where the road is.
The road was built. The road was supposed to be built here.
Wow.
And the road is here.
It's way off.
So I guess one approach
would this be a county road versus a private road?
If you were to reach out to the appraiser, Dory, and just get the appraiser's sense of this, and even if it
the lots north of those all landlocked then?
What was that, Josh?
The lots to the north of where Hill Road was supposed to be, are they inaccessible right now? 22,700, 20.
Right.
For example,
Yeah.
these lots all have the same access problem.
Yeah. I mean, if this was a road, and I'm not saying we should do this, I'm just throwing it out there. If we were to help build this road, would we be in essence helping to create 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, basically what, like 10 lots in a general place where we need housing? In the county, not necessarily Wallace Creek, but.
Well, that's assuming that, have we ever heard from any of these other property owners that they want access to these lots?
I mean, that's a good question, Dave. I wonder if we had engaged these property owners, could we share the cost of creating a road?
And I would only contemplate sharing costs if at the end of the day we could net a profit on this lot, which we would. Presumably, it would be much more appealing lot to purchase if you could actually get into the thing.
Oh my gosh, the value would increase a whole bunch, one would think.
Where's the landowner who put the offer in? Oh, oops, sorry, it disappeared.
He was
the one to the right. Sorry.
Okay, and he's doing this and he's the gatekeeper for all those other 8 lots. Like you have to have an easement through his property to access, to put the road in.
Okay, so here's another open question. I haven't been to this site. I'm just looking at pictures of trees here. Is this a place where houses should be?
No.
In terms
Let me try to answer both
that are
those
going
questions.
to burn?
John, go ahead, John.
You know, it looks like this is a platted subdivision. I don't know. I haven't looked at the plat for the subdivision. But if it is a platted subdivision, then what's identified as Hill Road, every one of those lot owners, it's very, very, very likely has a right of way to access their land. I would be shocked to find out this was platted in a way that each lot owner didn't have the right to ingress and egress.
So they have a right of way on a road that doesn't exist.
But right, the road never got built, but they have legal access, and they just don't have physical access. And if they want physical access, it could be up to them to blade it in. But the other, Josh, I look at each one of those lots and they look undeveloped. Now maybe there's a house tucked in behind the trees in some of them, but they look all undeveloped. And to me, that's, that does suggest that there's something going on with these lots that make them less than desirable.
Is water impossible to reach?
Otherwise, especially in this market, in the way it's been for as long as any of us can remember, you know, somebody would have punched a home in there if that was a good place to live for, you know, all things considered.
Okay, so
I
here's just
I can take a look at this subdivision plat and see if my theory is correct that there is legal access to all the lot owners.
So I wonder how much would it cost us just to build the road to our property?
I have no idea.
I mean, I want to just asking Shane, if we built the road to our property, would we then recover those costs plus when we went to sell the property?
He's not on. That's who we.
It's just an open question, because right now we're trying to sell something that no one will want unless they live next door, because you can't get to it. So
Right.
if we added that amenity and added that to the cost, would we then make a profit?
Well, and I guess the other, and maybe we just need to bracket this and think through some next steps here, because the other question, and I think John hit on this a little bit, it's the reality that this has not been built out, and I think we can all attest to subdivisions that have been approved by our predecessors that we might never have contemplated approving ourselves. So what might be on the ground out there may or may not be something we would like to see development on. So from that standpoint, Dory, did you want to reach out to the appraiser and or the bidder on this and just get a feel for any additional thoughts they might have? And in the meantime, John, could you do some due diligence in terms of the access piece?
And then chat with Shane to find out how much it costs to put a just.
I would appreciate that. Thanks for saying that one.
Sure.
And maybe we could loop in Chet too, or planning, Karen, or, you know, as far as appropriateness of this, as you mentioned, the subdivision at this point. Is this something from a county planning?
Well, and if the access piece is really the linchpin to selling it, perhaps, I don't know if this would be allowable under state law in any sort of a buy-sell agreement, in that there's a credit for the road construction, such that the sale would be contingent upon us constructing the road, and just so that we're not on the hook for building a road and then nobody bids on it then.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I'll look into sanitation and water also. You know, those are two things that if you can't drill and find water, you're not building. If you can't get sanitation approval, you're not building.
Yeah, and it could very well be that one of those things are the reason why this hasn't been built out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Dory, for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, we have our standard COVID-19 item on the agenda. Anything, Chris, you want to share here?
I do not have an update today, no. So.
Okay. Anything else from anyone before we leave? Okay. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.